There is a reason you never find a sleeping bird. Not in the trees, not on the ground, not tucked into that nest you watched them build last spring. Every single evening, millions of birds just vanish from your yard. Completely. Silently. Like they stop existing. And most people have never once thought to wonder where they actually go. But here's the thing. They're out there right now, within 50 feet of wherever you're sitting. And what they're doing to survive the dark is so strange, so quietly sophisticated, that by the end of this, you won't hear a morning bird song the same way again. Try watching your yard at sunset sometime. Really watch it. The light goes amber, then kind of flat, then gray. And one by one, they disappear. The sparrow on the fence post, gone. The finches at the feeder, gone. The robin that spent the whole afternoon on the lawn, just gone. Your first instinct is probably nests, right? They go to their nests. But here's what most people don't realize. The nests you see during the day, the ones in the hedges, tucked in the gutters, wedged into the crook of the apple tree, those are mostly empty at night. Daytime nests are for raising chicks, not for sleeping. So where are they actually going? There's a real answer to that. It's just not where you'd think to look. Start with the brain, because this is where it gets genuinely strange. Birds don't sleep the way you do. When you fall asleep, your whole brain goes offline, both sides dropping into unconsciousness together. Birds can't afford that. So over millions of years, they developed something that honestly sounds more like science fiction than biology. They can put half their brain to sleep while the other half stays awake. One eye closes, the other stays open. One hemisphere rests, the other one watches session and foreshadows movement, any shift in light. And if a threat gets close enough, the brain switches. The resting side comes back online. The whole bird is awake in a fraction of a second. Think about what that actually means. They are never fully vulnerable. Not once during the entire night. And the eye that stays open? It faces outward, away from the flock, always toward the direction of greatest risk. That's not random. That's a decision. A sleeping bird is making a continuous, unconscious tactical call about which side of the world to keep watching. You know that half-awake state right before you fall asleep, where you can still hear the house settling? Birds live there all night long. But staying alert isn't the only problem, because you can be perfectly awake and still freeze to death. This is where your house enters the picture. And I mean that literally. Birds are constantly bleeding body heat in the cold. Every calorie spent fighting the temperature is a calorie that can't be replaced until morning because there's no foraging in the dark. So their whole nighttime strategy is thermal. Find warmth, minimize loss, exploit every source available. That bird tucked under your eaves? It's not there because it likes your roof. It's there because your wall is leaking heat into the air. And that bird found the exact spot where the leak is worst. The corner where two walls meet and warmth pools. The soffit above the kitchen where the oven ran all evening and the brick is still radiating at midnight. The gap where the insulation is just a little thin. And here's the part that kind of gets to me. They didn't stumble onto this randomly. God, really? Through trial, memory, survival pressure across generations, the birds using your house tonight are working with information that's been refined over years. That specific spot under your third eave, something learned that it works, something passed that on. You spent real money heating your home this winter. Something small and feathered in the dark has been quietly collecting the dividend. Now go further back, past the eaves, into the thicket at the back of the yard. That dense shrub nobody ever gets around to trimming, the overgrown hedge, the thick stand of evergreen that looks like nothing from the outside. Inside, there's a structure. You can't see it. Nobody designed it. But it's absolutely real. Birds roosting in groups don't arrange themselves randomly. The center of the huddle is the warmest spot, surrounded on all sides, losing the least heat, the biological jackpot of any cold night. And the birds in the center didn't just happen to end up there. They're the dominant ones. The birds that held the best positions at the feeder during the day, that push others aside, that ate longest and left last. Those are the birds that claim the center when darkness falls. The daytime hierarchy becomes the nighttime architecture. Same social order, different expressions. And the birds on the outer edge, the younger ones, the subordinate ones, they rotate, trading exposure. sharing the cost of the cold collectively. No coordinator, no rules, just pressure and response, and something like 10,000 years of refinement. That overgrown thicket that looks like nothing? It's a precision thermal system running all night, organized by a social structure you actually watched play out that afternoon. You just didn't know what you were seeing. Here's the part that's a little harder to sit with. Your porch light is probably on right now. Maybe the security light too. Maybe there's a street lamp that throws a glow across the side of your house. And to a bird roosting anywhere near that light, specifically the blue spectrum frequencies that LED and fluorescent bulbs put out, something is happening to their internal clock that you never intended and can't see. Birds regulate their sleep cycle through light-sensitive cells in their eyes. And some researchers think it goes even deeper than that. That light actually reaches them through the skull itself. Even a low level of artificial blue light at night can push their biological clock forward, suppressing the hormones that bring sleep, keeping the brain in this state of partial alertness when it's supposed to be resting and recovering. The bird near your security light isn't sleeping properly. Not tonight. Not any night. It roosts there. It's caught in a kind of biological confusion, a low-grade permanent jet lag where the body never fully lets go because the light keeps quietly insisting that it might still be dusk. You didn't mean to do it, but your house is keeping something awake. And then there are the birds for whom all of that is the easy part. For small species, wrens, goldcrests, certain sparrows, the cold isn't just uncomfortable. On a hard winter night, it's genuinely life-threatening. Their bodies are so small, their surface area so large relative to their mass, that heat bleeds out faster than they can produce it. Normal roosting, even huddled in a tight group, sometimes just isn't enough. So some of them do something that most animals would never do voluntarily. They lower their own body temperature. Not a little, dramatically. Down toward the temperature of the air around them, heart rate drops. Breathing slows to almost nothing. Metabolism bottoms out. It's called torpor, and the closest way I can describe it is a kind of controlled near death. The body stops trying to stay warm and instead stops needing to be warm. They are, by most functional measures, barely alive. And every single morning they have to climb back from it. The light hits, some threshold gets crossed, and the body, if it stored enough fuel the day before, if the night wasn't too long, if the temperature didn't fall just a little too far, starts pulling itself back, heart rate climbing. The temperature is rising. The bird shivering back into existence from somewhere very close to the edge. Not all of them make it. On the worst nights, the ones that went in too deep or too early or with just a little less in reserve than they needed, they don't come back. They're found in the morning, still in position, still tucked against the bark, looking for all the world like they're still sleeping. Now step all the way out of your own perspective. Forget what the yard looks like to you and try to see it the way it's actually being seen right now. An owl moves through the dark above your garden. It's not looking for shapes. It's reading heat, movement, the micro patterns of camouflage that every roosting bird is carefully deployed. Feathers pulled tight, profile made as small as possible, body positioned specifically to break its own outline against bark and branch. The birds you watch every morning are running a full stealth operation every single night, motionless, thermoregulated, half-conscious, socially arranged by hierarchy, using your house as thermal infrastructure, surviving by becoming, in every possible way, invisible. Your garden at midnight isn't peaceful. It's a performance. And everything out there is performing for its life. Then, somewhere around 4 in the morning, the light shifts. Just barely. The first edge of dawn touches the sky, and they start coming back. Heart rates climb. Temperatures rise. Brains come fully online. And then the sound starts. That first birdsong of the morning, the one you've heard your whole life, the one that feels ordinary and small and cheerful. It's not just a song, it's a roll call. I made it. It's the sound of an animal that went into the dark, survived everything the night had, and came out the other side. Every voice that joins in is another one that comes back. Next time you hear it, and you will, tomorrow morning, probably before you're even fully awake, maybe you'll hear it a little differently now. And tonight, if you get a moment, take a flashlight out to your eaves, just for a second. If you see a pair of eyes looking back at you, drop it in the comments. Tell me what color they reflected. I genuinely want to know what's living in your walls.